Right, so, I love horror. The genre has been in my life for a very long time. My older brother's dream was to become a horror director, and as a child he used to babysit me, so you can imagine how that ended up turning out. There was a stage in my life where I couldn't even walk down the dark alleyway next to my house without seeing Michael Myers around every single corner. As well as horror, I also love video games, but surprisingly I'd never played any horror games, but I'd always been interested in Until Dawn. With Until Dawn being one of the free PS Plus games that comes with the PS5, I decided it was finally time to play the game. And it's fair to say I really enjoyed my time with the game, so much so that I even platinumed it. It was literally like being put in control of a horror film. But the thing I found most surprising was how much I found myself jumping at the jump scares. Jump scares get such a bad name from horror fans and film fans alike that it's easy to forget how effective they can be. And that's what I would like to talk about in this video. The jump scare has always been a part of cinema, but the average amount of jump scares has risen from 2.6 in the 1960s to now over 10 this decade. Many horror films today will purely market themselves on the fact that they can make you jump. It doesn't matter how bad the film is, it doesn't matter how bad the acting, how bad the plot is, as long as it has some jump scares in it, it will make money. I recently watched The Boy 2 and it was a prime example of laziness and it was genuinely a painful experience. If you've seen The Boy 1, you would know there is little to no reason for there to be a sequel and it doesn't even make sense for the sequel to exist. The film is honestly awful and it's a prime example of how bad jump scares can be. Each jump scare is as predictable as the last and most of them are just a loud jolt of sound accompanied by absolutely nothing. It's films like these that make people hate jump scares. But if jump scares are so bad, then why do films like The Boy 2 make so much money? Why did even I watch The Boy 2 when I knew it was going to be terrible? The simple answer is the rush of adrenaline it gives you. It's one of the most unique experiences you can get from a film or any piece of media. The only thing that comes to mind to compare that feeling to is the feeling of going on a roller coaster. It's that slow, painful build-up that's only released with a massive shock that will fill you with both excitement and fear. For a lot of people, going to the cinema and watching horror films is a great alternative to going to a theme park. This is why people will go to see terrible films like The Boy 2 over and over and why these films will continue to get made over and over. One jump scare in the trailer is enough to sell people. It's the oversaturation of jump scares that gives them such a bad reputation and why many fans of entertainment consider them to be straight up bad. I asked people in my media class to give their thoughts on jump scares and many said that they liked them but they just don't work. This is just because of the sheer amount they've been exposed to. There's just so many you can see before they become stale and predictable. But despite all this, there are still some phenomenal jump scares that never fail to get me. Some incredible classic films like Jurassic Park, Jaws and Mulholland Drive all have phenomenal jump scares that you'll never see anyone complain about. Here are some amazing examples of jump scares that will have you leaping right out of your seat.
Clear!
Clear.
What is it that makes these effective compared to those in lesser horror films? Well, to put it simply, they do an amazing job of building tension and an even better job at surprising you. But beyond that, some of these films use the jump scare as a way to present information further in the plot in an extremely unique way. The best example of this I can think of is the jump scare in Jaws. The moment we see that head, we know there is still a shark on the loose, and that leaves us far more afraid than before. This is unlike many horror films that simply release tension and remove fear. It's a perfect example of a jump scare done well. For the majority of this video, I've criticised modern films and their use of jump scares, but they're not all bad. The Conjuring primarily uses jump scares as a way to scare its audience, and that is a truly spine-chilling film. I dare you to watch that film and then sleep without the light on. The jump scare, when done effectively, can be one of the most immersive filmmaking techniques around. The rush of adrenaline from a good jump scare can easily have your heart pounding for hours. A jump scare could be the last thing that plays in your head before you go to sleep at night, and it has the power to make a terrifying film even more so. The jump scare is like a lot of filmmaking techniques. It could either be done extremely well or atrociously. But don't let the sheer amount of these atrocious jump scares hinder your opinion on the truly great ones. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and please leave a comment on what your favourite jump scares are.